Hello, and welcome to Project Happiness Fall 2016. And this is our second week, and our guest this evening is Ferris Jay, and Ferris is the thought gardener. And she's an EFT practitioner, an energy healer, a coach, and a pet loss counselor. And I know that's probably of particular interest to a few people on here tonight. And I'm going to ask you, Ferris, can you tell us a little bit more about the thought gardening and also the pet loss counseling? Or if you have something set that you want to do, no, I'm leaving it open to you to do whatever you want. This is your time.
Fantastic. Well, what came to me to talk about today is something that really I found from both parts of my work. So from the work that I do with coaching people and from the work that I do with people and their pets. I do a lot of work with people whose pets are nearing the end of their lives and then pet bereavement support afterwards. And some people think that's really different from my coaching work, which is helping people to live the life they truly want to live, to go for their dreams and not to let their doubts and their fears hold them back. And I wondered with this call, I said, what brings the two of them together? And what really came to me is it's all about choice and the power of choice. With everybody that I work with, it's a theme, and it's a theme that we're constantly choosing. In every moment, we shape our lives with the choices we make. And that's not just the big kind of decision choices, will I take this job? Will I be in this relationship? It's the moment by moment thought choices that we make that shape our lives. And I see people so often feel they don't have choice, whether that's in a situation or whether it's just about how they react to something or respond to something. Something bad happens, well, I'm going to feel sad or I'm going to feel upset. Something good happens, then I'm allowed to be happy. And one of the things I've been saying in my work is that everything is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Sadness is a choice. Everything that we feel is actually a choice. And that's not always easy for people to hear. And I wanted to share today some ways to make that choosing easier and to really make sure that we choose for us in our life, because that's what I think is the most important in every moment, really choosing for us and what's going to make us happy and help us reach our dreams. So this evening, or tonight, late tonight for me.
Actually tomorrow morning for you.
Yeah, I'm now in tomorrow. So what I'd like to do is share some of my tips, including my most favorite technique of EFT tapping, which I find is a wonderful way to help people clear what blocks them from making the choices they want or what gets them stuck in certain patterns of thinking that affect their choices. So that's what I'd like to do tonight, and we'll see how we go with time. I might get to work with somebody here as well, do a bit of tapping for somebody who has a choice or an issue here tonight. I'd be delighted to do that. Yeah.
That sounds wonderful. So you get a drink, and I'm just going to mute myself out, and you take it away.
I will. Thank you. So I will start by saying, again, what I said before, that there's often times in life where we feel we don't necessarily have choice, especially in how we respond to things that are happening in our lives. And I see this a lot. Well, I see it in my own life because I'm forever challenging myself to choose in the moment what's actually going to work for me. And I see it a lot in the lives of my clients as well. So I wanted to just give an example first from about the internal world of choosing, maybe not the big decisions kind of choosing. And I might touch on that as well. I do want to share some tips about how to make choices and decisions that are going to work with you, and a couple of processes to make making choices easier. But first I want to dig into the really juicy stuff of how to change how you are feeling, because there are some situations, and the one that kind of gets me the most, that I see the most, and this is in my work with people who have really elderly pets, and Christine will know what I'm talking about because I've worked with Christine personally, is one of the things that really gets me is when I see people in anticipatory pet bereavement, and that is when their pets are still alive and with them, but they can't help thinking about the end. They can't stop thinking about how long will their pet be with them. And it affects them in the present. It affects how they get to spend time with that pet while that pet is still with them. And that's an example that's quite strong. And yet there are similar ways we kind of sabotage ourselves in different ways with self-judgments and other things that are similar. But this one really strikes me because it shows that element where we don't feel we have choice, where these people, they don't want to be thinking about that all the time, but it's like their brain kind of goes onto autopilot. They can't stop thinking about it. And if you would say to them, well, just think something different, they'd be like, I would if I could, but they just don't feel they can. And yet I find there are ways. I do love the EFT tapping. It's my favorite way. One of these ways to help people to be more present for themselves, so they then can be, in this situation, more present for their pets. Because with pets, one of the things I love is that there's a sacredness actually in that end time, where it can be a time even of celebration, of celebrating the life that we've had with that animal. But to do that, we have to be in a calm space to be able to do that. And when people can make that intention and choice to be present and to work with their emotions, it then changes their relationship with their pet through the rest of that pet's life. So that's the example I'm going to work from. And I found the technique of the tapping is just so wonderful for clearing those negative emotions. So in that case, it's usually fear or dread of something that's going to happen. The technique of the tapping, which I will demonstrate, is such a wonderful way to clear those worries, to clear those fears. So then people can make the choice of how they want to be in that moment, how they want to respond. And in that example, it's not changing an outcome. Their pet is not going to live forever. And no matter how magic a wand I can wave, I'm not going to be able to make that happen for anybody. But I can give them a different experience in the time they have left. And that's kind of what I mean about the choice, that even when you're in an experience that seems horrible, you have the power to work with your own energy and your own response to that situation. And when you're working with your emotions and clearing out the worry and clearing out the fear, you then create new possibilities that can actually ripple out and even change situations, but definitely change how they appear to you. And that's always fascinated me, that we have that power that so often we don't know how to tap into, as it were. And that this EFT tapping, I've just found is one of the best ways to help us clear out all the craziness that is keeping us stuck. So then we can make our choice from empowered positions, and then we can respond differently to whatever is going on in our lives. And once you have a knowing that you have that ability, that it's actually not even so much about what is happening, but what you can do for yourself in that moment, the world kind of changes. It gets less scary. You start to feel less powerless as you realize you always have power over your emotions, over your thoughts, over your reactions. So that's my main message, is that we always have power. We always have something, and even if it is just the emotion, which is never just the emotion, it's such a powerful thing to be able to go from fear to calm. And even then, I like to then go in the positive way, even to optimism or hope or peace beyond that. So what I'm going to share with that, I'm going to go in and I'm going to start sharing about the tapping now, because it's nice to give people a demonstration of how that happens. And I don't know if anybody here has experienced EFT tapping, also known as emotional freedom techniques, before. So I'll give a quick overview of what it is. And with EFT tapping, we're doing there's two parts to the process. The whole aim of the process is that, especially originally, it was developed in the world of psychology to help treat fears and phobias. And there are two elements. One, we tap lightly on a certain set of meridian points, most of which are on the face. So I'm going to just demonstrate them now. I'm just going to tap through them, and then I will show you all where they are again. So I'm just tapping through just this set of points, and that is helping clear imbalance in the meridians. But there's another part to the tapping that's equally as important, and that is focus. When you tap on the issue. So if you are fearful, you actually bring that fearfulness to mind as you do the tapping. So it makes it different. People sometimes say, oh, is that like acupuncture without needles? Is that like the same as acupressure? It's not quite the same, because you are connecting your thoughts and your feelings to the tapping. And what that does is it stimulates the amygdala, and that's where kind of the disruption and the fear, like if somebody pushes your buttons, and every time you think of them, you can feel yourself tighten or get upset. It's like it's that connection point in the brain. And when you focus and do the tapping at the same time, kind of clears that disruption. It's also, there have been studies and trials that have shown that it's reduced cortisol levels, and cortisol is one of our main stress hormones, and it gets us out of the fight or flight response. So it's wonderful for calming us and bringing us back to balance. It's also really good that you can actually promote positive emotions. You can tap in positive states of mind at the same time. Well, afterwards, you would clear out any worries or fears, and then when you're kind of in a neutral place, you can then go and you can tap in desired resource states, desired feelings. So if you're feeling a lack of confidence, you can tap out any of those feelings of lack of confidence or not good enough, and then you can tap in feeling really confident. So it's an amazing technique. It's great for self-help. And then you can work with it kind of in the moment basis for how you're feeling in the moment. And you can also use it to work back through past memories. Because very often when we're triggered by something in the moment, it links to something that happened in our past. It usually links to a pattern that we got in childhood. Children should be seen but not heard. You know, all these different things that we learn in childhood, the ways to behave that keep us safe, that we're meant to do, that then get carried on into later life. You can actually use it to go back and clear some of those memories and clear that back through the past. So it's a really phenomenal tool with a lot of different ways you can use it. Like people will use it for fears, for trauma. It's actually, there's a program with war veterans being used widely for PTSD. People use it for weight loss, sports performance, everything. That actually one of the taglines for EFT is try it on everything. And I've used it on everything. I use it when my internet connection doesn't work well. I will tap for my internet connection. So it really is a case of try it on everything. So the kind of tapping I'm going to demonstrate today, because we're talking about choice and the power of choice, is a style of tapping called Choices EFT. And this was pioneered by a lady called Dr. Patricia Carrington. And what we do in this style of tapping, and if you go on YouTube and look up tapping, there are a lot of different styles of tapping. And in this one that I'm going to show you now, what you do is you use that power of choice in the tapping. So with EFT, and if people have questions, they can pop them in, because I know I'm going quite fast here. But with EFT, we start with what we call a setup statement, and that helps us tune into the issue. And it's telling me my internet connection is unstable. I'm hoping it's going to be...
I can still hear you. Uh-oh. I think we lost Ferris. She has to do some tapping now on her internet connection. So we'll give her some time to do some tapping and come on back in.
We have a live demonstration, Linda.
Yes, absolutely. She probably should have used a different kind of example.
The power of our thoughts, right?
Absolutely. It's really strange. Since we've been doing this session, both my dogs are in here, and they usually don't come in my room, but they're in here and they're both heads around me. It's like, it's so funny. They sense this energy or something. She's back!
I'm back. I think the internet was challenging me for just saying that I would tap when my internet connection was bad. I think said, okay, then go for it. But I'm back.
We had a good little chuckle about that, where it said, you know, we'll have to wait for her to do some tapping to come on back in.
I know. So where did I drop off?
I think it was just about, you were talking about the different kinds of styles of tapping. Yeah.
And so I'll say again, and apologies for that.
It's the internet.
The internet gods are playing with me saying, ha. But this style of EFT is called Choices tapping. And in it, what we do is we, as in all EFT, we make a statement that helps us tune into how we're feeling. So in the beginning, we do what we call a setup statement in EFT, which is where we tap on this point called the karate chop point. So that's where Kung Fu masters would chop their blocks with. We say a statement that begins with the issue, and then it changes to what we'd like to choose. So I'll give an example that if somebody was tired, they would do this setup of, even though I'm feeling tired, I choose to feel energized. So that's what you could use as a setup. And even by doing that setup alone, it gets you thinking, what would I prefer? What would I choose? And I think that's always the first step, is to go, yes, okay, I don't like this, so what do I like? Okay. And that's why this form of tapping is really clever like that it gets straight in to that. So with tapping, we do a setup statement 3 times where we repeat, again, the issue and then the choice that we want to make. And then we go around the tapping points, and I'll just demonstrate them all here now. And when we tap, and we're tapping really lightly with about 2 fingers, about 7 times, really lightly on these points. So the first is where the bridge of the nose meets the top of the eyebrow. And then the second is at the side of the eye, underneath where your eyebrow is, again on the bone. And the third one is on the cheekbone, kind of right under where your pupil would be. And then the next one is under the nose. The next one is above the chin. And I do have a chart on my website if you want to see later. The next one is the collarbone, and you can just tap like either in one spot or all around the collarbone. The next one is actually under your arm, and for a woman it's where your bra strap would be, and if you're a man it's kind of where you do your gorilla thumps if you're pretending to be a gorilla. And then the final point is right on the top of the head, in the middle. And that, when you've gone through all those points, that is what we call a round of tapping. And while you're tapping those points, you can, to stay focused, you just would say a reminder phrase. It could be as simple as tired. If you're feeling tired, tired. I feel tired. You could do it that simply. If you ever watch any of my YouTube videos, I tend to change words. I tend to free flow, just my style, but it works. As long as you're tuned in, it's not the words that are so important, it's the tuning in. Now, with this particular style of tapping, this choices tapping, just going to take a sip of water. I will say I've adapted it ever so slightly from Dr. Patricia Carrington's model. In her model, you do a round of the negative. So you'd be feeling tired. You'd say that all the way through. And then in her model, she does a full round of the positive the second time round. And then the third time round, she does an either or. She does kind of the negative and then the positive. For me, personally, I just felt it was a lot better to do a round of negative and then kind of a transition round where it's negative to positive as you're shifting, and then to finish with a round of positive. That just gelled with me, so that's the way I do it if I'm doing this style of tapping. So we can all do a round of tapping for that now. Now, I will leave time if somebody has a question beforehand, that's okay, about what we're going to do here. I'll give it a second or two, see if anything comes up in the chat. And so what you can do is, I'm going to use tired and energized. So tired is the negative state people are coming in with. Energize is what they're choosing instead. And there is a process in EFT called borrowing benefits, that even if your issue is slightly different, if you tune in, and even if you're tapping along with my words and they're not the same as what your words would be, there's a process called borrowing benefits, which means that it can still help your issue, which is really handy. So we can do an experiment now. When we do the tapping, it's a wonderful, simple and tangible technique, because we rate our intensity before we do the tapping. We then do the round of tapping. In this case, it's going to be 3 rounds of tapping. And then we rate it again at the end, and there's a question. This is a great question from Nicole. If I'm stating what you don't want, I feel like I'm reaffirming what I don't want. Well, I've heard this before, because I work a lot with the law of attraction as well. And I know people are like, I don't want to go to the negative. I don't want to feed it. And here's my take on that. We're acknowledging where we are in the moment. If you're feeling tired, it's just an acknowledging of feeling tired. And in the time it takes to tap, in the 3 minutes it takes to do a round and a bit of tapping, and it clears it, it's not actually making it bigger. You're just being aware of what is, so then you can target it to clear it. And it clears it so fast. Once you've experienced the technique, this is at least my opinion, and you can get to find out for yourself that it clears so quickly that you're not reaffirming it, because you're saying, even though there's this issue, this is what I'm choosing. So you're saying, even though this is what is, this is where I'm going. So you're always aiming towards the positive. So try it out and see. And if you're not happy about that, you can always sit out and not try it. But I have found, even from the law of attraction point of view, it shifts things so quickly that, okay, that explanation resonates, that you don't stay in that negative state for long. So you're not reaffirming anything negative for a long length of time. So one thing I will say is, please do take full responsibility for your own well-being if you choose to tap along. Very occasionally when people tap, if they tune into something deeper, their intensity, their negative intensity could spike up a little bit. If that happens, just keep tapping and keep tapping through, and it will come down again. But it's quite rare. Usually the intensity drops and keeps dropping. So before we begin, bring something to mind. It could be you're feeling tired, you'd like to feel energized. As I said, it could be something else. So just think of something that you'd like to be different. Think of what it is, and think of what you would prefer. Think of what you would prefer to choose. And tune into that and rate your intensity on a scale of 0 to 10. With 0 not being an issue. So 0, it's not bothering you at all. And 10 is it's massive. It's as big as it can be. And if you have a pen and paper, you can write your number down. And so I'll give you a moment to do that, just to tune in, because the more you tune in, the better it works. I'm going to have a sip of water again. So I'm going to do this too, and I'm going to rate as I go. Let me see. I'll do it for tired, because it is after midnight. So I'm actually not that tired though, because I love doing this. So I'll say it's probably only about a 4 really, but just to give you an idea, I tune in, I rate, and now we're going to do the setup. So you can repeat what I do and repeat what I say. And you can even stay focused on your own words. And if cats drop down from the skies, I see you looking up, that's just fine. So here we go. Even though I'm feeling tired, I choose to feel energized. Even though I'm feeling tired, I choose to feel more energized. Even though I'm feeling tired, I choose to feel more energized. And now we go to the tapping points with the inner eye. I'm feeling tired. And the outer eye. I feel tired. Under the eye. Feeling tired. I can feel tired in my body. All these feelings of being tired. I feel tired. So we're the collarbone now. Yeah, just follow me. And then we're under the arm, feeling tired. I'm feeling tired. And now in this second round, we're going to alternate. So we're going to go, I'm feeling tired. And I'd prefer to feel energized. I'm feeling tired. But I choose to feel energized. I've been feeling tired. And now I choose to feel energized. Under the arm, I've been feeling tired. And now I choose to feel energized. And now this last round is the positive round. I choose to feel energized. I choose to feel energized now. I'm feeling more energized. I choose to feel more energized. I choose to have more energy flowing through my system. I choose to feel more energized. Feeling more energized now. I feel more energized now. And take a breath when you're done. So I'm curious to know, if rate your number again, think back to what your issue was and tune in again on that 0 to 10 scale and see if your number has changed. See if your thoughts about it have changed or how you feel in your body has changed. So I'll give you a moment to do that. Somebody's asking if we can do a group tapping. Yes, we can probably do that in a moment. And for now, just keep focused on how you were. So if you want to say in the chat or come on and say how you feel, and I'll tune in for mine because I was a 4 and it wasn't very high anyway. I'd be about a 3. I kept feeling like I wanted to yawn. And sometimes if you yawn when you're tapping, it can be an energy release, not just that you're tired or bored. It's a way for the energy to release. So let's see. So Linda, let me know, how did you find that?
Well, I did the tired as well. So I wrote down, initially I wrote down 6 for my number because it's been quite a week. And it is Friday night, so it's winding down. And after the tapping, I wrote down a 3. So feeling better, feeling less draggy feeling. So yeah, I could see that I have a little bit more energy.
Yeah, that's good. And as you get used to doing tapping, you could keep doing the so-called negative one until you get down to 0 and then go to the positive. So it's quite flexible in that way, but that's great. And have you ever done tapping before?
Yes, I have done tapping before, and I've also watched some of your videos as well.
Okay, cool.
And done some tapping with you on your videos.
Yeah. So Laurie Smith says she went from 7 to a 3. Great. That's really good. So it's nice to see that even in a quick round of tapping like that, you can change how you're feeling. And you can use it like that for an emotion, for something you're feeling. You can even use it for physical issues. And Christine went from a 5 to a 2. Fantastic. If you're doing it with physical issues, it's actually good to go in by the root of how you feel about that physical issue. That really helps. It's that mind-body connection that really helps to chip away at it at that different dimension. So that tool of tapping is one of the main things I use to help people get to change so they get to the choices they would like to make. Now, I will just check in. Becky says, can we do a group tapping for Solly? So Becky, if you can just say who Solly is and what we might be tapping for, we might do that later.
Becky is my friend, sister, whatever, sister by choice, I guess we call ourselves.
Yeah.
And she has a dog that's pretty sick with cancer. I actually wrote to you about her this morning, Ferris. And we've been to a naturopath this afternoon and got some hopeful information. And so I think Becky's feeling a little bit better about that. But maybe, I don't know, maybe you need a little bit from Becky about what maybe the emotion is for her, or what you asked what you need to know.
I will. When you're doing the tapping for somebody else or an animal, the one thing I always say is the first point is to tap on your own emotions. And this can be the same that if you're tapping about a situation in your life. Say that there's somebody in your life, a boss is driving you crazy, or a family member is sick and you feel you don't have much choice in that. When you're doing the tapping, I always tell people to first do a round of tapping for themselves, because if there's something you want to change, you usually have an emotional charge around that. Whether it's an ill animal and it's hard to watch them being ill, or whether it's your boss who drives you demented and you just want to give a slap to, you have an emotional charge. So I always say to people, tap so they are more neutral before you would then tap for a situation or a person or an animal. It's kind of polite, it's kind of common courtesy that you have your energy clear before you then go and do tapping for somebody or something else. So that's what we would need to do in that kind of a situation. And and Christine has written in that, yes, Christine's cat had cancer, and she discovered me and tapping during that time. And she says, I truly don't think I would have gotten through the time without the tapping. It will help you incredibly and your dog as well. It really can make a difference at that kind of time. So I can demonstrate doing a round for the emotions. And again, people could tap on another issue. That's the thing. You can, by borrowing benefits, it doesn't matter that you don't have a dog that has cancer. There's situation in your life that's going to be bugging you. And we can do one round for that, and then a round for Solly as well. So we can do that. I will say, for anybody who wants to know more about doing this tapping for pets, I do on my ferrisjay.com website, I do have a free video series that walks you through all those steps, the tapping for you and the different ways you can tap for them. But I will do a quick demonstration of that for now. So Becky, if you are happy to tell me what emotions come up for you when you're thinking about Solly, tell me. Now, if you're not happy to tell me, it's okay. I can do a generic round and you can just feel into it yourself. But I'll give you a moment in case you would like to say, and then I can tap your words. And that's an important thing when you're tapping. When you're doing it for yourself, make sure it's your words. Like if you're really angry at your boss, there's no point saying, and I'll get back to you on that in a moment, Becky. There's no point saying, my boss irritates me, when you're like, I just want to smack him. If that's what you're feeling, that's what you say as you tap, because it's all about your emotions and your words. So Becky is saying, Solly is a part of me. He is connected to me. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do a quick round then. I said through borrowing benefits, people can be tapping on something different if they need to. So for Becky, we'll do this round where, now let's see, that I might not do the choices tapping. I might just go back to classic tapping, where we're still going to do a setup, and we're going to say, even though this is really hard, You can say something like, I'd like this to be easier. So that's something, often in classic EFT, you'll hear the second part of the statement is, and I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And that's very challenging for a lot of people. It brings up a lot of issues. So I might be saying something different just for here today. So anyone who wants to join in and get another round of tapping, this one is for you, Becky. So even though it's really hard that Solly is unwell, and it's hard to face that, I'd like it to be easier for me right now. Even though it's really challenging and it's upsetting to even think about it, I wonder if I could let some of my upset and worry go. So even though part of me is really scared about this with Solly, I'm willing to let go of some of my fears now. And now we're going to move to the points. This is scary. And I can't help being worried. And I can't help being a bit nervous and worrying about the future. But I'd like to let some of that worry go, because it's not helping him and it's not helping me. I'd like to let some of that worry go now. Okay, so take a breath. So that's just one round to start releasing any of the worry, any of the fear. And then it might take more than one. It might take a few rounds for you to get feeling neutral. And then when you are feeling neutral, this is a round that you could do for your pet. So I'm going to do this like you're talking to him. So I'm going to be saying, so with this, it's what we call surrogate tapping. You will be tapping on yourself. And I said this works whether it's for an animal or a person or even a situation. You know, if somebody's being made redundant, you could say this redundancy. You could actually use the situation and tap for that situation. So no, you can use this surrogate tapping in a lot of different ways. So what's key here is even though you're going to be still tapping on you, you're going to be tuned in to the energy of that situation. So for Becky, you're going to be tuned in to Solly and Solly's energy. And you're going to be talking to him while you do the tapping. And the intention, that's the part that makes it work. That's all you need is the intention. So we'll do that second round of tapping now, the tapping for Solly. And if other people want to join in the tapping for Solly and make a group tapping for him, please do. And if you want to tap on your own issue, that's absolutely fine too, whatever works for you. So even though you're ill, Solly, you're a really good boy. And we're going to do our best for you. Even though you're not feeling well, you're a really good boy. And we're going to do everything we can for you. Even though you're not feeling so good, you're a really good boy. And we're here for you. And now we're going to go to the tapping points. you're not feeling well. All these feelings of illness. You're not feeling so well. All these feelings of illness. All that illness within your body. I invite it to release. Sending you healing energy. And sending you comforting energy right now. Okay. So take a breath. So that's just an example of how you would get started with doing that tapping. You can either do the tapping to soothe the person or the animal, and you can, I do it as inviting their body to heal and, you know, sending that energy to them. And it's always an invitation for them to take in healing energy or not. So you're never demanding a situation to change, you're always inviting a situation to change. Now, I know that was just 2 really, really short rounds. So Becky, you can check in again and let us know how you're doing, how that felt. And that's the type of tapping you can do for animals, you can do for family members. The main thing I'll say just once more is always clear your energy first. So you're not going in with an agenda, or you're not going in with fear or anxiety or a kind of a demand for things to change. It's always an invitation.
One of the things I want to ask here, because I don't know if Becky will think too, because I know she's kind of wound up right now with this, but yeah. Solly has been having trouble eating, which is his biggest problem right now. He's nauseous and he vomits after he eats, if he will even eat anything. Is there a way to do tapping to help him to have some less nausea maybe or something?
Yeah, if you're tapping for him, again, first of all, you tap for how distressing it is to see that he's not eating well, to know that he's nauseous. And once you've done that, the tapping you can do, you can be tapping on Solly's digestion, Solly's nausea. As long as you're focused and you're tuned in, that's the main thing. The words are reminders. He's not eating well. His digestion doesn't seem to be working well. He seems really nauseous. You know, I wonder if his body could find more ease with digestion right now. So that's the kind of tapping you can do to invite change in that area. Yeah?
Yeah, that's great. So it's finding whatever situation that you want to focus on and inviting that to change.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly it, whatever it is. So somebody's feeling nauseous, you can tap, you know, on your own, oh, I'm feeling nauseous. With us, because we know our own thought processes, it's always good to go, oh, I hate feeling nauseous. I'm so fed up when I feel nauseous. If you can add, for us humans, that the emotion behind it and the thought behind it, that kind of clears when you're working with physical issues quicker than if you just actually tap on the physical symptom. You tap on what it means to you as well. Yeah.
Good. So Becky says that she will do it daily. Is that what you recommend?
Yeah, and it's different for everybody. It depends how stressed you are. If you have a pet who has just had a cancer diagnosis, you might be wanting to do it twice a day or 3 times a day, but only if you find yourself getting anxious or worked up. With any situation, the more you're getting anxious, upset, angry, worked up, the more benefit it is to clear those emotions. if it's something you find yourself stressing about having to make time to do it, then look at that. It's not a command, it's something to help ease stress. If it starts to cause you stress, I have to tap, I didn't tap 3 times that day, then you're kind of being counterproductive. So just watch the balance. But you see, it only takes a couple of minutes. It really is so fast that it can clear some intensity pretty quickly. And I see Becky's message now. Thank you. We'll do it daily. Yeah. So if anybody has any other questions about the tapping, Christine says, it really changed the energy in my home during that difficult time. Yeah, you can use it for all sorts of things, for not feeling comfortable in your home. I don't like the energy in my home right now. I don't like this energy. So even if, and people in that situation, and I know a couple of people in that situation at the moment saying, I don't like my home, but I don't have the choice to leave right now. It's true. You may not have the choice in that day or that week to literally move and fight out of there, but you do have the choice to be in that space with a different energy, to do the tapping, to do other things that are going to help make that energy more conducive. It's the kind of talk that it's that kind of change that we can do, that at least we can bring a change of how we're reacting and how we're responding to what's happening around us, which is absolutely massive. When we can kind of reframe and see things a bit differently and have more ease or peace with them, kind of the effect ripples out and it helps it change in our lives, and it affects the other people. I see it so much when somebody is wound up about a situation or a particular person and there's kind of a stalemate going on. There's a pattern repeating, where people have repeated arguments again and again and again, or they fall into a relationship pattern. They find that same type of person again and again and again. But even if you're still in the relationship with the one person, when you change your reactions and when you actually deal with what's going on emotionally, your energy changes and then the pattern is broken. Even if you've not said anything different, your energy is changed, it changes the whole dynamic and magic can happen. So really don't underestimate the power of the choices that you can make in your own mind and with your own energy. And Christine is saying, I saw its effects on my cat. Yeah, with the cancer diagnosis, the energy can feel so heavy, and after each tapping round, the energy lightened and the effects spread from me to my cat. Yes, and actually, Christine, you're a great example of. You remember there was there one session I had with you where actually usually in a session I'll work half with the person and half with the animal, and there was one session where actually the whole session I worked with you because it was an issue I wanted to clear, and after the session Bijou was still feeling better even though I hadn't actually directly worked on her. I think afterwards was one of the times she went out down into the hall and then you took her out onto the grass. So it shows that by association, you know what I mean, that it can make a difference even if you're not directly working on another person or the situation. So just by working on your stress and your reactions, it can change things.
Yeah. So I did. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I with every round of tapping, I mean, Ferris introduced me. I had heard of tapping, but I started practicing with Ferris, and after my cat's cancer diagnosis, I was devastated and very isolated and not a lot of support. And I was amazed at the effects. I felt like I was suppressing a lot of my fears to protect my cat. And there was just this heaviness in the air, and every single round of tapping that I did, especially with Ferris, there was a difference in the amount of her energy, her demeanor. She would come and suddenly sit on my lap and curl up in a position that she couldn't get into before. She walked down the stairs, and she hadn't been able to do that in about a month. And because I felt so light, so much lighter, and just that release of emotion, picked up on that, and it's just a win-win situation. And I am so grateful for that, for learning that. And I'll use it forever, never and ever, for everything, like you said, for internet, for gum stuck to my shoe, for all of it, But I know I'm trying to tell Becky in messages that I so know that heaviness, that feeling, and it's not easy, and to really use it.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Shelley's also posted in the chat here. She said I know that Shelley has a Chihuahua, and he's been having some heart trouble. So Shelley's posted that my pet was in his cage while I was tapping for him, and he came out, looked at me, then his blanket, and I knew he wanted to go under it. He is now comfortable, and has been a long time since he wasn't feeling well, that he wanted to sleep under his blanket. And that's his favorite place, is under his blanket.
That's lovely. And I think that animals are such our teachers, and animals are so great because they pick up on energy so well. They pick up on our mood so well that they respond really quickly. So even if we're just doing the tapping for ourselves, because of our change in emotional state, our animals pick it up so quickly and so fast. They're a great mirror for the energy changes that happen when we tap. So they're wonderful teachers for that, and I thank them for showing us that so well. And I want to say another thing as well. You were wondering how often to tap, how often for Becky to tap. And part of the thing with the tapping is it is that choosing differently, even in places where we didn't imagine we could choose differently. Like, I'm sure sometimes that heaviness, you think, well, that's what happens when we're in a bad situation. We feel bad. That's natural. To know that you have the choice to do something. And part of choice is action. A choice isn't something that we say, okay, I'm going to choose to do that. And we say we're going to choose it once, and then we expect everything to change. It's like choice is in every moment. And that's a good thing, because sometimes we forget to tap. Sometimes the waves of emotion can come up on us again. And it's okay. It's okay if we have moments where we're not choosing what we'd like, because in every moment, again, we have the power to choose. And that is the beauty of choice. It's in every moment. So even in every moment in your life up to now, you've not chosen what you would have liked. You still have a chance in the next second to choose differently. And that's one of the things I love about the power of choice. And in order to really make those changes and get them to stick, it is a constant. The more you choose in the moment, and that comes down to awareness. When you catch yourself in your own old cycle, or you catch yourself in your old thought patterns, or the fears kind of try and come back in, the first thing is just acknowledging it, and then know, I have choice in this moment. I can choose to go down that path again, or I can choose something different. And whether it's through tapping, whether it's, through heart breathing or meditation or other ways as well in the moment, we've all so many tools at our disposal to help us, that it's just part of being active, to be actively choosing. That it's not a passive thing, say, well, yeah, I'll choose to do that. And one other thing as well is that with choosing, especially if you have decisions to make, because I didn't talk about this before, if people are choosing between one decision and another, that again, you get to choose in every moment. Rather than you make a decision, it's final. I like to use the word choice because, again, you get to choose in every moment. And if people have big choices or decisions to make, I sometimes say, well, try one of them on, wear it, try it for 10 seconds, try it for an hour, and then try the other choice. Because it is all choice. You can wear one and say, okay, how does that work for me? And then you can wear the other choice for a while and see, how does that work for me? You know, sometimes we feel we can only do one way, and it creates new possibilities when we get curious like that and try things. And when we know in every moment there's a choice, and that helps kind of release the self-judgment that if you didn't choose what you wanted in the last few moments, and we all do that, but it doesn't matter because you still have the choice in that next moment to choose. So if anyone has any questions on the tapping or anything else about the power of choice, let me know.
Well, we'll give people a minute to type in the chat box if they want, or if someone has a question and wants to unmute themselves, they can do that too.
Good.
We've made the hour that I usually do for these recordings, so I know it's 1 a.m. for you.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm a night owl. My body kind of does the waking up sometimes. It's like, hey, it's 1 a.m. What am I going to do now? So I'm so happy to be here. Questions. I'm still awake in here. My energized tapping works. So that's good. Yeah.
Apparently your internet tapping worked as well because you got back on.
I did get back on. And Nicole has a message. Really needed the affirmation of the power of choice today. Thank you. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see any questions coming up. So, Ferris, thank you very much for your time. And I know that's very late for you. So that was extra special that you took this time to be with us. Can I just ask you, tell us how people can get in touch with you. And if you want to give me your website, I will put that in the chat box. I also will send all that out with the recording and all that. But if you just want to say that on the video as well, so if anyone happens to be listening to it and doesn't get an email with it, it'll be in here. Yeah.
Well, I've two ways you can contact me for my coaching work. That's all over at www.thethoughtgardener.com. So over there you'll find lots of blog posts and tapping videos, and I have a nice free series called Positive EFT, so how to really tap into those positive emotions like confidence and feeling good or feeling relaxed. So that's my coaching website. And then for my work with pets and their people, I'm over at www.ferrisjay.com. That's my name, .com. And there I have resources like that, a free video series walking you through how to do the tapping for your pets. And I have a little mini course on helping your elderly pets and some pet loss resources as well. And from either of those websites, you can book sessions with me. And I actually have a free 15-minute consultation if people have questions or they're curious to know about how to work with me. And then I also have quite a lot of YouTube videos on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com Ferris Jay. So you can find tapping videos and law of attraction videos and all sorts of videos on there. If you want to, if you're not sure about the words for the tapping, you can find tapping videos on stress, on positive ones, all sorts of different things on there. So that's how you can get in touch with me, by either of those websites or my YouTube channel. And I am on Facebook as well, but I'm not going to bamboozle it. Go through the websites or look up my name on Facebook, and you'll see my pages on there if you're a Facebooker like I am.
Yeah, I think most of the people here probably are.
Yeah.
It's probably how they found us tonight. No, again, I want to thank you so much.
You are ever so welcome, and thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to come and share some of this today. I adore to share it, so I couldn't think of anything better to be doing on a free night. So I'm delighted to have the invitation to come here. Thank you so much.
Well, I believe that the universe works in wonderful ways, and I know that Becky really needed this tonight. I think that's really helpful, and Shelley probably as well, because I know they both have pets right now that are they've had some really difficult times in the last few days, so I'm really glad they got to see you doing what you do and giving them some hope and giving them some tools to work with their pets, and all of us to work with our thoughts and make those choices from moment to moment. So it's important for all of us to do that, you know, whether it's involved with pets or just our everyday lives. But thank you again so much.
You are so welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I'm going to stop the recording now.